Hey guys, it's Drew with Living History Comes Alive and Living History's Mysteries. You know, in a recent live stream, somebody mentioned a very special place that they would love to investigate with me. A place called Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Of course, being the inquisitive person I am, I had to look into it and I had to research the history and I had to research the legends. Frankly, I was blown away. I am taken by this place now. And I am trying to figure out how I can make that 6-hour drive, that 6.5-hour drive, and hook up with my friends who suggested that we investigate this place. There is a lot of history to this location and even more legend since it closed. So today I compiled together the history and the legend of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, so maybe you can be as taken by this place as I am. So sit back today and check out Waverly Hills Sanatorium, the most haunted place in the world, right here on Living History Comes Alive. Stay tuned.
Sanatorium. This one has beds for 500 patients. Altogether, there are now 90,000 such beds available. Rest and more rest.
On March 19th, 2012, we traveled to Louisville, Kentucky to investigate one of the most haunted places in the world, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Originally, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was a wooden two-story frame building that was constructed in 1910. In 1924, construction began on the massive Gothic-style sanatorium that stands today, and was completed in October of 1926. This giant U-shaped building was specially designed and constructed to capture the strong southeast wind. It was believed that plenty of sunlight and fresh air was the best treatment for the disease known as tuberculosis.
Here's the chest picture of a young athlete. The trained eye of the physician sees the damage already done by tuberculosis. The death rate has gone down, true, but 70,000 tuberculosis victims still march to their graves each year, and many more are disabled.
Our investigation began with a tour of the building's hotspots by Josh, a Waverly Hills tour guide.
So guys, this area right here is the old electroshock therapy area. We would get a lot of EVPs in this room. One of the EVPs we got, they were just asking, is anybody here? They of course heard nothing. Later that night, they reviewed some of their footage, and they got a voice come back and said, well, why are you here?
Also located on the first floor is the morgue. Patients that died from causes not believed to be tuberculosis were taken to the morgue to have autopsies done on them.
Like most people neglect this room, they're like, oh, it's just a cafeteria, it's just where they ate. There's really nothing that can happen here. But I've had more stuff happen to me in this room than I have throughout the whole building. A lot of times, like, we'll ask, like, can you tap a window if you're here? Like, we have a lot of... One night, I had something tap every single window all the way down and then go all the way back. Alright guys, so you're sitting in now is just the solarium. The beds we pushed out here and the patients we out here for up to 16 hours a day. These big openings never had many windows in them. They were just a copper screen mesh to where the air would actually come in. As you see, the building's in a C shape. That's where it can catch the southwest wind, bring the wind all the way through the building, and then take it out that way. This room right here, as you can see, it's only one small window, very little ventilation, one closet, no single. Most people think this for people that actually could afford a private room, but this actually was the terminal room. This is, if you were on this side of the hallway on either 2, 3, or 4, then you knew that your time was basically just about up. This is the floor that we most commonly see tipping. This is also a floor that people see an apparition of a tall white man and a little white dog. We actually had a young man that wandered off from one of our tours, and he went into that room. As soon as he got in and turned the corner, he saw a tall, dark figure, and as it turned towards him, it looks as if he didn't have any eyes. We actually had people, they come down and they actually left. They were only here for about 2 hours. You're not supposed to smoke on the solariums, and they were doing what they weren't supposed to do, and I kind of feel like this is like spirits telling them they were doing what they weren't supposed to be doing. is an EVP. I'm gonna play it once, and I'll explain it. I'll play it again. When you hear, oh my God, that's when the real person starts. All that before is not. The breaking of the sound barrier, and then the shriek in their face, and they were sitting on this ledge, and it came straight in their face and did this. I think it was kind of like telling on us, like it wanted us to know we were doing what we were supposed to be doing. Alright guys, this is 4 floors. 2 things that frequent on this floor is, one is the crawler, which is usually on the wall, and it comes down, and then it comes towards you, but usually when it gets about 2 feet away from you, it dissipates, it's gone. Another one is big black, and it's actually seen throughout this whole floor, and I mean, it just engulfs the whole hallway. There's no light or anything that penetrates it. Usually people run from it. I haven't run from it when I've seen it twice. Alright guys, you see this is the main OR. 2 of the major procedures were done in here. One is pneumothorax, which is where they insert a needle into the lung, deflate the lung, and give it time to heal, and then actually do it back and forth to the right and the left. Another one is thoracolplasty, which is where they would cut you from the base of your neck all the way down your back, around both sides of you, opening you up like a door, and sawing out up to 7 ribs. And there was only 5% survival rate, and if you did make it, if you were the lucky 5%, you were in this angle for the rest of your life. My thoughts is that that's kind of like what the crawler is. You know, he didn't have anything to support himself, so he's in that position the rest of his life. Alright guys, you see this is the 5th floor. This is 502. There was a nurse that was found hanging outside of this room, around this area. She was pregnant by a married doctor on the hill. Of course, in the 20s, this is a no-no. Said she tried to perform the abortion herself. She aborted the baby. The reason we know that it was in this room is because it was found on the 5th floor well system on the property. A lot of people, when they go in this room, they feel like ill, sick. I mean, it can be as little as just feel a little bit nauseous to throwing up everywhere. Guys, the body chute is over 500 feet down. There was a cart that was used to transport the bodies down the slab portion, and then the person that's taking them down actually walked down the steps.
Originally built to transport supplies and as an employee passageway, this 500-foot-long underground tunnel was used to transport bodies of the deceased out of the eyes of the patients, not to deteriorate morale. With our tour of the building complete, we set up base in the north wing of the 2nd floor and began our investigation of the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Because this was such a large location, we devised a system splitting our team up into 3 groups, giving each group a chance to investigate each area at least once, also keeping at least 1 floor in between each group to minimize audio interference. With Dan and myself being Group 1, we wasted no time and started investigating the 1st floor.
Starting the recording, Group 1 on the 1st floor at Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
With numerous reports of activity, Dan and I decided to first investigate the morgue.
You want to do this by yourself?
Gonna get set up by myself. We believe that spirits feel less intimidated communicating with us when faced with Dan or myself individually, as opposed to if we were both together.
I'll be out.
While I stayed in the morgue by myself, Dan began making his way towards the body chute to see if he could experience any activity.
Is everyone in here? You still your name. If you have a message for me, please speak it. Let's relay that I'm holding.
I heard and also captured this unexplained noise that sounded like it was coming from the hallway.
Well, this is actually the way to the body chute, which I think is still open. I'm not going to go in right now, but... yeah, it was me echoing. I will walk to the entrance. Anybody down here?
weird feeling when I walked up to the door. Sudden feeling.
Back in the morgue, I just heard and captured another shuffling sound very similar to the first one, only this time it was much louder, and it sounded like it was coming from right outside the door. Shortly afterwards, Dan returned to the morgue and we decided to switch places.
Alright, so right now Dan's in the morgue by himself. I'm heading to the lobby to see if I can get any activity. Was this your final resting place? Alright, so right now that flashlight is set up to where if you just touch it really slightly, it'll turn on. Please turn on that flashlight. Is that you that just knocked, or is that a creak? You at least knock if you want me to leave, because you're not turning the flashlight on, so I'm not sure if you want me here or not. If you want me to leave, that's fine, just knock so I can know. But if you want me to stay, turn on this flashlight. Was that a knock? I have no idea what that was. I think that might have been it. Gonna go check. Holy sorry. Flashlight just went on. Alright, so you want me to stay?
This flashlight was set up with the end partially unscrewed to where it would go on only if you physically touched the end. And with myself being the only person in the area and remaining completely still, the flashlight turned on by itself. Back in the morgue, Dan's digital voice recorder just captured an intelligent response to a question he asked out loud, wondering what a buzzing sound he heard was.
What the hell was that? Probably in the sector, buzzing. Guess what? The flashlight turned on by itself. That one? Yep.
With Dan hoping to witness the phenomena that I just witnessed, we set the flashlight up again.
If there's anyone in here, can you please turn that flashlight on by tapping it? Or you can move one of these body tables.
Do something to make us know you're here.
Please turn that flashlight on. Just by tapping it, that's all you have to do. Just a little tiny bit, try it as hard as you can.
Turn it on.
Thank you very much.
Because the flashlight turned on twice in a short amount of time, we weren't sure if these results were credible. So we set up a control test and left the flashlight alone in the same condition for over an hour to see if it was turning on from natural causes, and not once did the flashlight turn on. With our hour on the first floor complete, it was time for us to move on to the second floor.
We're on the second floor now, until 11. Is there anyone in here?
Anybody in this room? It's a weird sensation.
What?
Almost felt like something tightening around my neck.
Really?
A little bit. I've never felt it before. Something in here?
Oh my god.
Did this happen to you?
Yep.
I had seen a pair of disembodied shadow legs walking parallel to me in the solarium. At first, I thought it was a reflection of my own legs, until I remembered that there was no glass in the windows. We tried debunking the phenomenon by rewalking our paths to see if the legs were shadows being cast by either one of us, but we were unable to replicate what I had seen.
I guess I saw you before. Can you come up and talk to me now?
Did the fresh air help you?
Please make your presence known to us. Come on, you guys had to be really strong and able to endure what you did in your life. You want to go down to that end?
Sure. Going opposite ends.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of activity we received while split up on the first floor, We decided to split up once again.
Were the nurses friendly to you when you were here? Do you remember how old you were when you passed away?
How many people that you knew personally did you know that passed away? Sort of tapping come out of here. Who's in here? Sort of tapping noise come out of here. There it is again. Who's in there? Or what's in there? Is there someone in this room with me right now?
With no further activity and with the hour nearly complete, we moved up to the 3rd floor. At the end of the hour, when we were meeting up to regroup in the lobby, Mike, one of the investigators, was telling us how he just captured a disembodied breath in the operating room. Here's the audio from his recorder.
Or the other one, when like you were first laying, where they put the needle right in there and deflated the lung. Did you hear that?
After listening to Mike's recording, we then continued on with our investigation and headed to the 3rd floor.
Want to try something? Alright. Gonna throw this rock down the hallway. If you want to, you can throw it back. Throw it back to us? Can you throw something at us, like I just did? There's not much away from the camera. Okay. So it's the wall. Alright. That's in there. Yeah, that makes sense there.
We set the ball in front of the DVR camera and left the area in hopes of capturing any anomalies, and at 11:56, we captured this. During the course of this 40-minute long continuous shot, the ball does not rock once, even slightly, arguing the possibility that this could possibly be wind. We believe that if this could have been wind, you would see the ball rocking at least slightly during these 40 minutes, but as you can see, it remains completely motionless until it takes off by itself and rolls into another room. We have no explanation for this.
When they brought you onto this floor, did you know you were going to die?
Mean you no harm. Just came to talk. But everyone asks this out of you.
When reviewing the following clip, we noticed a strange humanoid-like shape in the far end of the hallway on the right side of the doorway. As the camera pans left, it almost seems to move at the same time. As we zoomed in, we weren't sure if the movement was coming from the figure itself or an optical illusion caused from the camera. Because of time constraint, we decided it would be easiest for each group to visit each floor at least once by combining floors 4 and 5 into the same hour.
I'll just sit right here.
Okay. Is who everybody refers to as the creeper a lung or a rib removal patient? I could have swore I saw something move across the ceiling, like just in the corner. No, with my eyes. Was that you, creeper? Are you up here with us? So I want you now to come over by where we are. something that might be you on the ceiling up there earlier. Who's down this hall? Hearing something down that hall. Wish I know. Come with me. I'm gonna check out these noises I keep hearing down this hall, because they're getting harder and harder to ignore.
Unable to locate the source of the noises Dan was hearing, we moved our investigation to the operating room.
Alright, so right now we're in the operating room, trying to see if we can catch any activity. If there's anyone in here, can you please move this ball for us? Friend Mike heard you before, and he heard you breathing right up here. Can you make a noise for us too? Were you conscious when they removed your ribs?
Did they use anesthesia? Anesthetic?
Receiving no activity in the operating room, we moved upstairs and spent the remainder of the hour on the 5th floor.
Alright, so right now we're heading to room 502, where the nurse supposedly hung herself to see if we can capture any activity. No one blames you for anything that happened. Everyone makes mistakes. You don't have to feel guilty about anything. It's the old swing set that they have in all those pictures.
We decided to try our luck with isolation once again by splitting up with Dan in the children's ward and myself in room 502.
Did you kids ever look over this ledge and hope that you'd one day be free?
Come on, just please come talk to me. Come show yourself to me so I can know that you're here. I just heard footsteps out here. There are footsteps out here?
With the hour complete, Dan and I met back together for one final view of Louisville from the top of the Sanatorium. After an hour-long break in the base, we regrouped our equipment and made our way towards our final destination, the body chute.
Well, now we make our way to the body chute.
Quite possibly the most notorious haunted area in the world.
You know, I never usually freak out about too many things, but I'm actually pretty scared for this. If you're down here, could you let us know you're down here somehow?
Figuring there'd be little radio interference in the thick concrete tunnel, we tried a ghost box session, but didn't receive any unusual responses.
What year were you born? So, I'm making the way through the body chute by myself right now. Alright.
At the top, yep, I see you. Down here by myself, so... Who am I down here with? Anyone I was talking to before?
Girl, Dan's making this pass to the body chute. I'm gonna go to the electroshock therapy room by myself, see if we can capture any EVPs. Got something right there.
Don't be afraid if you're afraid of me.
If there's anything you want to say to me, please do so.
Receiving no responses in the electroshock therapy room, I went back to the body chute, and Dan and I decided to try the flashlight experiment one more time.
Alright, that's the closest it's gonna get. If it works with this one, it's foolproof though. Alright. Who's ever down here, nudge that light a little bit and it'll probably turn on if you want. Just nudge that light a little. Like that.
Use what energy I have left to make that go on. All you have to do is hit the back of that. Just use all your energy. You do it 1, 2, 3. Alright. You probably...
Good job.
Thank you. Try to pull on the front now to make it go up. There you go.
Yeah, keep pulling.
Almost got it. Use all your energy. Dude, my battery was just at 80 minutes. It's empty.
So you're using his battery to try and do that?
Thank you, you're doing what we told
We
you.
wanted. Try mine. There's a lot more juice in there.
Camera just shut off. Just at 80 minutes, like 2 minutes ago.
Alright, I still got this.
Alright, well, regardless, we still have to get going, like, in a minute, so if you can shut that off, that would be awesome. If not, you've still done a great job anyway.
Yes.
Alright, well, thanks for communicating with us. We're gonna get heading out now. And so ends our investigation. A very successful one.
We came to Waverly Hills with questions, and though many were answered, many more remain. Is there life after death? Can the dead communicate with the living? Does the mind live on once the body has perished? One thing was certain. This location is a breathtaking piece of history that didn't disappoint. This building remains the final resting place of thousands of victims fallen plagued to a terrible disease. We owe everything to the brave souls lost in this terrible epidemic. Without their sacrifice, there might not be a cure today. We hope that one day these souls can move on, leaving the structure that once was a monument to death and disease, calm and peaceful.
Welcome back. Over 6,000 deaths. There has to be some residual anger, some confusion. When you're dealing with that many terminally ill patients, not to mention the hundreds that died at the hands of the doctors experimenting on new ways of curing that terrible disease. Thank God for those people, though, because if it wasn't for their sacrifices, if it wasn't for their suffering, we may not have a cure and a prevention for tuberculosis today. It's a very sad part of our history. But their sacrifice, their pain, their suffering made it possible for all of us today to not have to go through exactly what they went through in their lives. Not to mention the mystery that shrouds that sanatorium today. But that's all I got for you guys today. As always, I'd like to ask you to please like, share, subscribe, comment. Definitely, definitely. Ding that little bell. That way you'll know when new videos come up, and we prove time and time again, you never know what we're going to talk about. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. We'll see you on down the road.